Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and in this video I've got another DIY coloring book that I'll be binding. This one's a smaller book because I've just got smaller images. I'm working with the Annabelle Spenceley stamps from Crafter's Companion. They went on super sale recently and I picked up both sort of the everyday version and the Christmas set. So here is what the final book looks like, and I'm actually binding this at the top of the book instead of from the side. And the main reason for that is because I had this leftover bit of binding coil from my first set of coloring books, and it was the perfect length for this book if I bound it from the top. So in my previous video, which I'll link to in the upper right hand corner, I talked a little bit about binding your book using the center line. And because I didn't show the method that I just described, I thought maybe I'll go ahead and shoot this video since I knew that is how I would be binding. So on the cinch itself, there is this arrow that marks the center. Now it's a little bit kind of hard to see when you're actually binding, so what I did was just using a piece of cardstock that has a nice squared off edge. I'm going to push that all the way in and then line that up with my arrow and then put down some blue tape to mark the center line. And that way I can actually see where that center line is. And on top of that, I'm going to create this little, sort of like a little jig. So I cut it to, I think about 2-3 inches wider than my book. And then I went ahead and scored some lines so that my book page can actually fit within those two score lines. And I marked the center of the, between those two score lines. So essentially that's going to be the center of my book. And I'm lining up my pencil mark so that at the top and at the bottom, it lines up with my blue tape, which marks the center of the cinch. So now I can use this jig to make sure that whenever I punch through my pages, the holes are going to be perfectly centered every single time. What I want to do before I start punching, though, is to make sure that I'm only punching complete circles. So I've got 8 loops on my coil, and what I'm going to do is just pull out the knobs that are on both or either end of my page. And that's just a precaution so that any knobs that you pull out, those holes will not punch. And so if those holes happen to be a little too close to the edge of my page, I just don't want to have any partial holes get punched. And then I just double checked by counting the knobs in between the two to make sure that I have 8. Because I know I have 8 loops on my coil, so my page should have 8 holes to correspond, and it does. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to punch through the rest of my pages by just setting it within my jig, pushing it all the way to the back, and then pulling down on the lever. The cinch, We Are Memory Keepers, does have a smaller mini cinch, but it's not that much less expensive, I think, than the full size. And the full size is just, I think, much more versatile because if you do make larger projects, it's going to be a lot easier to do. And also I think the mini cinch, you can only use coil that is a specific size in terms of the diameter of the coil. So I just think the full size one is a lot more versatile. And there are 2 versions of the cinch. One that punches circular holes like what I have, and then the other one punches square holes. So just kind of depends on what you prefer. So here, as I set my pages into the coil, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my back cover, flip it all the way around until it's on top of my front cover. Now, if your back cover has a pretty side, you basically want the pretty side of your back cover and the pretty side of your front cover to be facing each other. And I'm going to feed that through the loops on my coil. And then when I go to place this in the back here, I already have this set at 1/2 inch because my coil is 1/2 inch in diameter. And I'm going to make sure that the two open ends of my coil are touching the back of the cinch. And I'll press down gently to go ahead and close off the wire. And it's a perfect binding every single time. You don't have to worry about pushing down too far because we already have the dial set to just 1/2 inch, so it won't close it down smaller than that. And so that is my DIY coloring book complete. And I just think it's so fast and fun. These make really awesome gifts. And I'm tickled by the idea that I have 0 waste in my coils because between the two projects, it was the perfect length to cover both. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to hit the subscribe button and bell, then you'll get a notification whenever I post new videos to my channel. Until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!